Hello, everybody in TV land and in my Zoom room. Welcome to Role Play. So we were just in the Zoom room talking about the pressure to love yourself and how whenever something's pressurized, you're supposed to do something, it is just not as much fun. But if you just give yourself a breath or a minute or a second to just breathe into it, it's like, oh, let go of the pressure, let go of let the steam release, then it can be, you can find your way within that. And it reminds me of something I was reading, a Thich Nhat Hanh book last night. It's, I think, called Buddha Body, Buddha Mind. And he was talking about, I think, giving something up to be beyond yourself. And so he was talking about being somewhere and they were going to do a meditative walk. And like, there were so many people filming and watching. And he's like, how am I supposed to meditate with all these people? And so he's like, I just said, okay, the Buddha's going to meditate. I don't need to meditate. I'm going to let the Buddha do the meditation. And so, I mean, this idea of giving things up to something that's greater than ourselves, I think is really important. And another person I know was talking about lighting candles. She goes, I light a lot of candles because there's a lot of stuff that I can't contain within myself. And so when I light a candle, I can let the fire hold those things that I can't have space for myself. So I think sometimes we take on a lot of responsibility in our own bodies that maybe would be better served in the salt water, in the fire, planted in the earth, not having to take it on for ourselves or just breathing it out. So I want to offer this practice today as a means of, I've been looking all the stuff about predictive processing, and predictive processing is like these models, these hierarchical models of how our brain shapes reality for ourselves and says what's going to happen. But what I found in doing the continuum work and being these deep explorations is that if I think I'm going to know, if I'm in a predictive stage, I can't actually be in what's really happening. So the invitation is to let go of knowing what's going to happen, making a plan, having it be like this or that, and just go into the fluid sensation of being. And within that, I'll give you a lot of guidance. We're going to play around with a lot of things, but thinking of allowing your system to sort out in its own way what needs to be sorted out. So it's almost like you're sifting the wheat from the chaff, but letting your body do the work. So it doesn't have to happen in your head. So I'm going to suggest that we start in any kind of comfortable position. So I'm going to start laying down. Oh, and the first idea of what I'm going to think of is just surrendering all of my weight into the earth. Surrendering into the ground, taking off the backpack of I should have, or I'm supposed to, or if only, and just being in the, this is what's happening right now, what I feel in my body. Feeling my connection to the ground, to the floor, to the planet, even to the space around us, right? And I love this idea that the space is alive. So it's not just the ground supporting you, it's also the space around you supporting you. And almost imagining that it's like you're a little baby nestled in your grandmother's arms and she's rocking you. And there you are on the floor and you can just let yourself rock gently. Starting, maybe you want to be in stillness. If it feels okay to start moving, allow yourself to start rocking from side to side as if grandma is holding you. And this could be like the most slow motion grandmother's arms ever. Just rocking you gently from side to side. And inviting the intelligence of your own body to process whatever needs to be processed, whatever isn't serving you, whatever extra stuff you have, whatever's in the backpack that you're letting go of. If there's little bits still holding on in your body, invite them to melt, drip, fall, crumble away. And as we're doing that, let's tune into our breath in whatever way feels interesting to you. So it could be feeling the size and shape of your breath, and your movement might start to shift. So as I start to go into my breath, I want to focus a little bit more on just the sense of growing and shrinking with the breath. So as I'm breathing with my lungs, every cell in my body is also breathing. And I can feel maybe the suspension of my breath when I come to the top, when I'm in that fullness of breath, and then the slow release when I come to the bottom. Maybe there's an extra little moment at the bottom of the breath where I can be in, like, for me, that bottom of the breath, if I can take my time there, it's almost like the most nothing place that I can be, where I can just rest in emptiness, in nothingness. So playing with that rise and fall of the breath, with maybe some suspension of the breath on the inhale, and then on the exhale, maybe just a little elongation of the space between the breaths, if that feels good. And I'm going to invite in movement into my own body, just letting, for right now, my hands and my feet have come to life. So I'm feeling my fingers and my toes. It might be a different place for you. And you might want to just stay with the sense of breath. My speed and my thoughts may be moving too quickly for you. So feel free to just let go of what I'm saying, of paying attention to me, and just be in your own experience. So it tends to be that when we're in movement, or when I'm in movement, there's less of a gap in less of a suspension after the inhale, and less of a empty space after the exhale when I'm moving. So I'm going to slow down my movement a little bit more so I can tune more into those places. And it's not to come into anywhere uncomfortable with it. Like when I go into that inhale and I feel that space of fullness, and that sort of like the top of a balloon space, there's a sense of lightness and wonder in that for me. And I can exhale as easily as I want to, or as quickly, or as lengthily. And when I come to that end of the exhale place, it's almost like I've dropped into the bottomless well, not in a very in a very comfortable way, like I'm dropping down there into this nothingness, which is quite delicious. Allowing movement to bubble up or not, whatever feels good to you, but playing with these rhythms of breath, adding suspension, and then that sort of letting go into the infinite, if that feels good. Allowing the dance of awareness to be a surprise to you, so that things are coming in. It's not the predictive processing. It's not the, oh, this is what's going to happen, and then that's what normally happens because my body and brain know that. It's the, oh, what's this right here? Really inquiry practice, being in the unknown. Maybe images arise. Maybe familiar shapes, feelings, sounds arise. If they do, try not to grab onto them too much. Just let them be there, let them move through, but try not to be seduced by the story or the narrative. Try to sort of just stay in the pure sensation experience with maybe these little delicious, tiny little tastes of stuff popping in and out, but nothing that you're going to eat a whole meal of. You're just going to have a little taste here and there. Staying in this very open, expansive place of awareness. Inviting the fluid system of your whole body. So that's all the fluids in your body and your human body that's primarily made of water to move in any kind of nourishing, delicious ways that are really going to support you in your exploration. And they're going to support you in this very moment. And they'll support you in tomorrow and the next day as well. So you're inviting in this sort of systemic fluid intelligence to participate in your movement so that you can let the Buddha walk for you. You can let the fire burn the stuff for you. You can let maybe Terpsichore, the goddess of dance, move for you. You don't have to be in control of what is happening or how it's happening. You can just be in witnessing and witnessing what's going on in your body right now, feeling into it just as a state of awareness and not sticking on to any one thing. So you're in there in this very fluid, spacious exploration. And if you notice that you've glommed onto something, that you've stuck onto something, see if you can just let it go. You could think of just letting your hands open up and release whatever you're holding onto. But maybe it's your shoulders releasing something or your jaw releasing something. Maybe it's your guts. Maybe there's something in your belly or your heart that you need to let go of. And if you feel kind of like, oh, I don't quite get this, I'm not quite sure what's going on, that's a great place to be. Just stick in there with the unknowing, with the unknown, with the uncertain. See if you can hang out with that. Follow what arises. You can ask your body, like Thich Nhat Hanh, let the Buddha walk for him. You can let your body walk for you. Let the intelligent wisdom in your DNA walk for you. Let your cells walk for you. Nothing to do. Just be present with it. And trust whatever is happening. You can listen to the sound of your own breathing inside your head. Or maybe you can hear your heartbeat. Or maybe there are sounds outside of you. I got my creaky floor to dance with. If there's any part of your body that needs some particular attention, you could also place a hand on some body part or several body parts. It's always nice to have some self-touch. If you need to feel some connection, feel free to use your own hands or just connect to the floor or some piece of furniture. In the safety of your own experience. I'm going to share a screen and share some sound. And just allow us a little bit of time to dance within our own experience. To dance with what's ever going on for you today. Giving your body this chance to really self-regulate. And your mind can be very soft, resting in the fluidity of your awareness, resting in the spaciousness of your awareness. If you feel like you know what's going to happen next or what move or how your body should do something, let that idea go and see if something else arises. Yeah, if we want real plasticity in our minds and in our bodies, we need to be open to change and to novel things and new movement. So if you feel like you find a pattern that you keep playing out, see if you can shift it. Slow something down, speed something up, change the area, the space that you're working within, whatever needs to happen, or just listen more deeply to your own desire within your body. And if you think you're going to go one way, just turn the other way instead. could imagine that you're just a baby first learning how to move, so you don't already have a whole set of ideas of how things should be. It's all fresh and new. Or you could imagine that you're suspended in a watery environment and you do not have control over the tides, over the eddies, over the flows, over the whirlpool. It's just going to happen to you. So allowing it to move you. If you were a fractal, how would you move? What would be the pattern that's expressing on these small and large scales? What colors would you be? Maybe lots of colors. Your nervous system to unwind any kind of holding patterns, any kind of emotions or any kind of feelings or things that maybe have landed in your body that you haven't had a chance to set free. If it feels okay, if it feels helpful, if it feels loving and kind to yourself, invite your system to soften and open up, releasing some of that stuff. And we can release so much stuff just through movement and willingness. So if you feel like there's some gooky, yucky, icky squishing around somewhere, invite it to sort of melt away, to soften, to shift. Sometimes just the smallest little shift can change so much. And sometimes we don't know what we're holding until we start to let it go. We don't know what we're missing or the people that we're missing until we see them again. Then we realize, oh, there was a big hole in my heart. I didn't see you for so long. So giving ourselves the chance to tune to that deep, deep space, that deep, deep intelligence, nervous system, unravel opening, unfolding. Just the right amount. And as we move, we're inviting these deep cellular systems to nourish us, to eliminate waste. So the cellular breathing helps that. The extracellular matrix, the space around the cells, is allowing movement so the cells can be healthy, eliminating waste, bringing oxygen, bringing nourishment. And that's also the lymphatic system. We were talking about that ahead of time. Softening neck, jaw, and throat, chest, heart, tongue. Finding some ease. We're finding some strength. Sometimes we can find our pushiness, like our capacity to push, to create boundaries. Sometimes that's what we need more. So really tuning into what it is your body needs. Do you need some push, some pull, some breath, some suspension, some deep diving into the nothingness? Maybe all of it. A little lasagna with everything in it. Really allowing yourself to slow down into a speed that feels sustainable for your work, for the work that you're doing in your body. And also to be in the, I don't really know what it's doing or what's happening, but it feels good. I was saying this in my morning class. So many people say, I'm doing this thing and I feel really good, but I don't know if it's doing anything for me. If it feels good, it's doing something for you. Trust in the feeling state. And also, there doesn't have to be a perfect answer to anything. But sometimes there is. Sometimes we need to crack away some of the container that's holding us so that we can have a slightly roomier container, so we can have more spaciousness. Molting one skin, shedding one skin, so that we can grow into something more comfortable and more appropriate for us right now, for us today. Maybe sometimes we need the support of community, even just knowing that we're doing this, maybe not at the same time, but there is some kind of connection through that. Somehow on some quantum level, we're participating in this stuff together. Sunny. Just going to slowly turn that down and give us a couple more minutes of just exploration without sound. So it may be interesting to take it back to the beginning of the breath with the suspension and then the dive down, or just stay with what you're exploring. And it could be on any level. In your relationship to gravity. I also just want to offer, and we were talking about this in the very beginning of class, that sometimes it's nice to have paper and a pen on hand, because sometimes when we're in these processes, things do come up that you want to remember. So it's not against the rules to be able to take a second and write something down, or to have some water, or to go pee, or to do anything that you need to do. A lot of times this type of work is going to speed up some things, some processes in your system. So sometimes after you do a lot of this kind of more watery work, there's like, oh, I really need to pee. Don't hold it in. Just go to the bathroom when you have to. On that deep, wonderful thought, I'm going to bring us back together. And if you need to, if you want to just stay in your exploration, if you want to pop out, that's totally fine. If you want to be in the sharing and caring of the after class talking, then feel free to stick around. But I want to express my gratitude to all of you for coming here, and happy Valentine's Day. I was trying to avoid the Valentine's Day thing, but I'm gonna give you a little love.